All right, so I will call the Capital Planning Committee School Research Subcommittee to order for Thursday, May 13th, 2021, 9:31 a.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Capital Planning Committee School Research Subcommittee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. First item is approval of meeting minutes from April 5th, 2021, a 4-minute meeting. So I circulated those minutes. Kathy, I think that was during that slight period where I don't think you were officially reappointed yet. I think that happened the next day. So I guess Katura, did you have any comments on those?
It took me hours to read them, and but I'm okay with them. They looked great.
Okay. Kathy, anything from you?
No.
Okay. Then I will move that we accept the meeting minutes as drafted from April 5th, 2021.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Cook?
Well, if I wasn't on the committee, how can I vote?
I
Well, I guess I can vote. I'm voting. Okay. I'm happy to vote if you want me to vote. So yay.
Yeah, you could abstain too if you'd rather do that.
I think I should probably abstain since I wasn't on the committee.
Okay.
I
Martin?
abstain.
Aye.
And Malinowski's aye. So 201. Next item, and the main reason we're meeting is review and approval of letter to community. So I know we talked about this back in one of our meetings in and around the February timeframe. And it came out of some of the discussions Greg was having with members of especially the staff, I think, but also just the broader community that doesn't follow meetings as regularly as maybe some of us do. And so I think you all have it. I think in terms of review process to date, I was the drafter. Greg has weighed in with some comments that were factored into the version that's in front of both of you, and Roger Challen has looked at it. Obviously, us three could not collaborate on it outside of an open meeting, hence why we're here today. So I don't know if anyone has any questions, comments on the letter, major, minor. I'll just open the floor.
Terry, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I did have some thoughts about it. Thank you for doing that, Jason. And I'm glad we have sort of a starting point. I guess as I was reading through it, it seemed as though there were, quite a few items that we're going to have more information on in sort of fairly short order. We have a meeting on Monday, and then there are some other open things that are, in very much in process in the near future. And it seemed to me that given that, putting something out right now might sort of raise a lot more conversation and maybe possible anxiety and questions among people who are really interested in this than we really have answers for right now. And given that it's early May, I guess almost mid-May, and we have town meeting coming up very shortly, and we're going to have more information shortly. I have some concerns about putting something out right at this moment in time. I do think that we should be communicating with the broader public, and even though everything that has transpired is, recorded and open to anybody to view, obviously not everybody has the time to, watch all the meetings. And so I agree that a communication makes a lot of sense, but I think we're going to have more sort of useful information to share in not too long. And my concern would just be making people more concerned about the process by putting, a summary out there that raises more questions than it answers at this point in time, given where we're heading. So that was my initial reaction.
I don't know, maybe Greg, if you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that, I will share that since, since this letter was drafted, to Katura's point, there are a lot of new moving parts. And one of those new moving parts too was a communication I drafted to the pre-K through 8 faculty and staff in Southborough. Obviously, because these meetings are public, we wanted to make sure that faculty and staff had the right information. I did share that draft with the school committee, I think late last week or early this week. And I think Katura, and I don't want to speak for you, when Katura read the email, the draft email that I plan on sending out, and this email, there's probably some merging of the two that we could create to, again, make the letter more powerful and speak to some of the new information that we have.
Okay. I mean, yeah, in fairness, this was drafted a month and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I think timing of getting everyone together in the review process. So
let me weigh in here. Let me take the opposite point of view. You know, the game that we've always heard played where you start, you're in a circle and you whisper all the way around. By the time it gets around, it's totally different than where it started. So there is lots of rumors and people asking questions about this. People are concluding that, we've already decided to close Woodward, which of course we have not. So I think the timing is right. And as far as having more information, yeah, but I don't necessarily think the plan is to update the town every time we get a new piece of information. People are welcome to come to the meetings if they want to keep up with it, but I'm not envisioning a process that every time we get a new piece of information, we go back and update this letter. This is just to me to say, this is what we're doing, just to be clear, this is what's going on as a general proposition, so that it at least clears up some of the misunderstanding that's out there right now. So I actually think the timing is right to send the letter out. I thought the letter was well drafted. I have no proposed changes to it whatsoever, but it just gives the town the big picture of where we are. As far as timing goes, I don't know if the plan is to try to get this out before the 22nd or not. Don't know what might or might not be said on the 22nd. There's no reports on the 22nd. It's going to be another truncated town meeting, but you never know what someone's going to stand up and say and ask a question. Then you got to say something. So I'd actually like to see this go out before town meeting so that it's out there and maybe clarifies and puts to rest some of the rumors that are out there as far as what we're doing. I don't think the purpose of this is to give people, nothing's been concluded, right? All we're saying is we started this process and this is what we're doing. This is what we've done so far and, more to come. So that's kind of the opposite take on what Katura said. So I'd like to see it go out ASAP. And Greg, I'd like to see your email if we could, if you could copy us on so we kind of know what that said too. So we know what you're saying to the teachers, et cetera. So we kind of got all that too. But anyway, I think the letter's well written. I think it should go out ASAP.
Yeah, I don't think there was a question whether the letter was well written, but to Jason, your point that it's been a month and a half, and you probably the letter would look a little different if you were drafting it 2 weeks ago. So I think the one piece that I think is really important to add is the MSBA's window opened for core building programs.
Right.
And I think that's a key piece to include in terms of information that the community would be important for the community to have.
So you could add that. I just don't think that would mean a whole lot to the average person, Greg. They're not going to understand what MSBA is, nor what it can or can't do, or what the window is. But there's nothing wrong with adding that to it too, if you guys think it's important to put that out there. But I just don't think we're trying to get specific now. We're just trying to say this process has started. We're looking at it, and we're going to, we've got open meetings to come to. And we are rolling up our sleeves at this point and trying to figure this out. But this is kind of where we are now. So no decision's been made whatsoever.
Yeah. So I guess hearing those two views and obviously knowing the mindset I was at least when drafting this before it went through, I think there's a way to thread the needle here. So I'm with Kathy on, I'm a big proponent of something needing to go out like ASAP. If I had my druthers, I would have had something out a month ago, right? But life gets in the way and meeting schedules, et cetera. So I think we do need to kind of get this out there, because I think it's, hey, community, if you're interested in any of these facets, now is probably the time to start paying attention, engaging in meetings. Because I think we all know, at least our subcommittee has not had had little to no public participation, right? But if Keith's going to come present something, Greg's going to come present something, something's going to ultimately get back to the school committee at some time frame, we all know that this community tends to disconnect in the summer. I don't know that I want to speak for any of us, but I don't think our work is going to stop necessarily, given where some of these critical pieces are at, whether it be MSBA process, the NERI assessment that we discussed on Monday, et cetera. So while I'm not wed to this letter, I guess what I would advocate is whenever something goes out to the teachers, that there's also a corresponding letter that goes out to the community from Greg, Roger, and this committee. And I'm perfectly fine, again, not seeing Greg's email per se, but knowing how things usually are very well written and communicated to the school community. Having him wordsmith this letter to get these two in conjunction to get something out. I think but to maybe more mirror what the communication is to the faculty, unless, Greg, there's something in there that is more faculty driven and not necessarily to the average parent or community member that may be voting at town meeting on some of these proposals in the future.
Yeah, I think that Katura has a good lens. She, from the school committee side, she's seen both letters. So I think, I'm not sure if Katura, you would want to tackle weaving the two, threading the needle.
Okay, so why don't we, I'll propose something. Why don't we, I would be happy to take a stab at weaving the two together. We have a meeting scheduled for Monday afternoon where we'll get more information on various facets of this and also have more participation by more members of the school committee, which I think is really important since this is really a sort of a schools driven decision ultimately. And a lot of it comes from that direction. So I would be happy to, in conjunction with Greg, take a stab at, putting the two together in a more up-to-date and also schools communication oriented type of presentation. Because I have, Kathy and I have clearly have very different perspectives on this because while there, maybe some rumors, and I don't know, I haven't heard from those people. I do know that in the family and parent community, when this comes up, hearing that there are, what I think the letter sort of maybe is the current version sort of leaves out is that this is not a decision that's going to be made next week or 2 weeks from now, or even a month. This is a sort of a semi-longer term process. It's going to involve a lot of moving parts and opportunities for feedback and discussion and all of that, because I think that, in the parent community, there's a lot of concern about preserving the standards of education that we have by diminishing the school buildings. And so I think we just want to do it in a way that reassures people that that is not something that we're planning on doing, that we're planning
Sure,
on.
I don't want to, let me just interrupt. I totally agree with you. That's what I think they should be, that we're a long way from even proposing anything. So
Right.
Don't get excited. There's a lot of people that really do not want Woodward closed as a school. There's no doubt about it. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just calm everybody down, quell the rumors as far as what people have thought. Now, one thing at town meeting that's going to happen that's slightly related is there is a warrant article on the warrant that is going to deal with this in kind of a indirect way. We're thinking about possibly selling the old South Union building. It's not clear what's going to happen at town meeting yet. Maybe not a whole lot because it's still preliminary as far as where we are. But it would, if that building's sold, it would require 2 departments to move someplace else. So that's part of this big picture as far as where to put everybody, not just close to school, but where then, what to use that school for, right? It's all part of the whole process here. So I'm with you. The purpose, to me, the letter is just to calm everybody down, know that there is going to be a very, very hard look at this. It's going to allow all kinds of public input, et cetera, that we're nowhere near saying tomorrow, Woodward closes. So that's why I think it needs to go out, because there are people that are worried about Woodward being closed before they've had a chance to weigh in here. So I'm with you as far as making sure that people understand this is not a decision that's going to be made in the next 30 days by any stretch of the imagination.
Kathy and Jason, I guess one of my questions is, do you think the timing of a letter would distract from the purpose of this upcoming town meeting? And obviously you two are far more politically connected than I am. What I don't want to see, from my perspective as a superintendent, is this distracting from getting, the school's budgets approved. I don't think that will be the case, but I just want to hear your perspective on that.
Who knows, Greg? Who knows? You just never know what's going to pop up at town meetings. So I don't think so, but who knows? And so if we believe that there is some chance, your budget is so good. Surely there's not going to be an issue with your budget town meeting. Seriously. And, there's enough people at town meeting that are probably going to, your budget's, I just can't believe your budget is not going to be totally fine, because it is an excellent budget, right? But you just never know what is going to pop up, that somebody makes an incorrect conclusion. They look at something, they just don't realize. But, we've got a new capital planning committee in the town side that's going to end up being a standing committee if it's approved at town meeting. So we got lots of things going on that build into this. So I just don't think the timing of the letter is going to upset town meeting, if I had to bet. And I just think the sooner the better, so that people really do understand there's a very thoughtful process going on here that is going to consider all aspects, all points of view, and no conclusion is going to be made until all that is put together. That's to me the whole sole purpose of the letter, not to get into details about, what your floor plan is going to look like, or, what we're going to do with the extra building at this point. We're not there yet, but just let people know we've got a process that's underway, and it's very thoughtful and mindful.
And Greg, I think that's a really good question. And I'm just hearing, Katura, first and foremost, I think I'm very comfortable with your proposal of trying to thread the needle here. Obviously, let's see where Monday goes, right, in terms of what discussion ensues there in broader committee. If I had a vote, if we were going to vote on this, I would issue it immediately after town meeting, be ready to go the week after town meeting, because to all the points Kathy made or Greg made in terms of budgets, et cetera, I'm not as worried about that. I'm more worried about the messaging actually getting lost, because, there are other issues that are definitely going to take some debate at town meeting. And I just don't, right, if you think about just how the news cycle works in this town, right, there's going to be a lot of stuff, you just went through an election, you now have a town meeting, there's people pushing their warrant articles. So I would advocate that we be ready to go in and around the 24th. So
I value that too, Jason, that there's a lot going on. So may just get lost in the shuffle if we don't wait till some of this clears, get town meeting over with, and then immediately send it out. How are we going to disseminate it? Has anybody thought about that? Is it My Southborough? Is it literally a mailing to everybody in Southborough? What are we going to do here?
Well, I think first and foremost, Greg has a weekly email to the school community, right? So I think that it would have to be one of the disseminations. I think My Southborough, I think it's the town website, school's website. I think, Community Advocate tends to pick up on stuff like that. I think just as many, possible media sources, because I think this doesn't just impact the school community, right? Ultimately you're going to be asking for the support of well beyond the school committee community for anything that's proposed here, moving forward at a town meeting.
No, it definitely impacts everybody because people are worried about what it does to their real estate taxes. So yes, we should try to get to everyone, not just the school community for sure. So I like the idea of waiting, and now that I'm thinking of waiting to after town meeting to disseminate what Katura comes up with as far as melding the two together and make sure they're consistent.
So do we want to reconvene after that to approve the letter, or do we want to just give Katura approval to mend the two and work with Greg to get this out after town meeting? That's really, I guess, a question for.
Are you allowed to give feedback on the draft over email?
I don't feel comfortable doing it on a 3-person committee.
Yeah. So this is the hard part of it. I can't guarantee that the draft is going to. Why don't
I'm not as uncomfortable as Jason is. I will defer. I don't think this is really rising to the level of deliberation, but I'm happy to say go for it, Katura and Greg. Take what we've got, make sure it makes sense with anything you want to add, MSBA, make sure it makes sense with Greg's email to the teachers, and get it ready.
Okay, so why don't we do that? I'll do a draft. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I'm with Kathy on that. I'm kind of
so
giving you my vote.
Okay, so I'll do a draft. I'll circulate it to you guys, and then if you feel that there's something to discuss, like we need a meeting, we can always schedule a meeting and discuss. And otherwise, you could just say looks fine, right? And then we move forward. So, okay.
Just say FYI, and if you don't hear from us, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that can get us in trouble.
That I agree with.
What do you think about that plan?
Did you say okay?
Yeah,
Jason?
I'm good with that. No, I'm good with that. That makes a lot of sense.
Greg, are you good? Fine with that?
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. And I think following the town meeting, makes sense in terms of, having this be a focus. I also think Katura last night, obviously with the Southborough School Committee voting to authorize us to submit an SOI to MSBA. So that's another kind of step in this process. So
yeah, great.
And I will.
So who's coming to the meeting on Monday besides, obviously this committee's been invited. Is it the overall school committee or is it the school capital committee?
It's a capital subcommittee.
Capital subcommittee. So Roger and Jen Primack and me.
Okay.
So that means we'll have a quorum of the committee. So I probably should, okay.
Invite the rest of the, yeah.
We'll have to do a quick posting for the entire committee for Monday. Just invite everyone to attend who is interested in attending.
Okay.
So and then Monday night, we're going to talk about the facility study that we've launched and the results of that, update folks on the demographer and RLS, that work. And
I had forgotten that, Greg, when I read the letter. So the letter helped me to remember where we are. Who is the demographer?
So it's a company, it's a Robert Scotamali. He's, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. He's out of New York. He worked for the state of New York as a demographer for over 20 years, dealing with census data, data systems. And he has another gentleman who is in, I believe, Pennsylvania, Katura, in that area, that region, who is.
Oh, I thought he said Vermont.
Or maybe Vermont.
I don't know, but yeah.
And basically those two gentlemen, one has an expertise in school, one has an expertise in demography. And we did contact Shrewsbury Public Schools. They use RLS and we're very pleased with the results.
RLS is what they're called?
Yeah, I can send the letter about their company as well and his resume. And
their work is done or is not done?
No, we are starting the process.
Okay. Did he give you any timetable when he thought he would be done? They'd be done?
I think he said 3 months.
3 months. Mhm.
So 3 months, so June, July, August, so sometime in August.
The other thing that I think is, and again, we'll talk about this on Monday evening, is that he will do if then, statements that if this happens in the community, like a Park Central, then you can expect this, which I think is a much more helpful document than just ignoring that this is potential, Park Central has potential to happen.
I agree with that.
As do I. Yeah.
The other kind of moving piece is internally, we started the work, having discussions around programmatic and grade level configurations. So that is internal work that we're doing, and are hoping to have a report crafted by mid to the end of June. We're a bit behind on that, just in terms of everything else.
Understood.
We understand.
Not like you've had anything else going on in the last few months.
So this is a really ignorant, naive question, but I'm going to ask it. So Keith, do you work year round, or do you just work the school year?
I work year round, Kathy.
Okay, but now principals only work the school year. Is that true?
It's they have a 220 contract, so they basically have the month of July off.
Okay.
So the middle school, high school, and all directors have, it's basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. And then we have coordinators, and they're on a 220 as well. So those are the distinctions. And elementary principals work the 220.
Right, because what I'm tactfully trying to ask is, you guys do work through the summer, because I
Yes.
do think we're going to spend a lot of time this summer on this, and so.
And principals are accessible all summer. They might not be physically present, but they're accessible.
Okay, all right.
I take the summer off. No,
Yeah, I bet you do.
I wish. It's the opposite of the.
Yeah, I was
school
gonna say
year
it's
for me.
probably the opposite. All right, so then my only other agenda item was just next steps, but I think we should talk about meeting schedule after we get through Monday, see what we learn there, where the discussion leads us, and obviously let Greg and Keith kind of propose when to come back to us based on demographer and obviously the study they're doing internally between, that was slated for mid to end of June.
And I believe
One more question before we sign off. I know we've got the NERI facilities report on our email, so I haven't read it yet though. But I thought that they were looking at all schools. They only looked at NERI?
Yeah, the cost was
Too much?
it was 50,000 plus.
Okay, all right. All right.
All right.
Now. Sorry,
just
Any
I
other business?
got rusty on my few days off this committee.
Yeah, I was wondering what I had to reach out to Roger and find out the backstory.
Do you know how many calls I got going, what happened? I said, oh my gosh. I said, nothing happened. I said, let me just explain the advisory bylaw. So that's what I'm saying. 2 and 2 equals 6 in this town. So you got to get that letter out there to
Yeah.
stop this.
Greg,
one
do something else.
Yeah, just one point of clarification. Believe Cheryl Lepre sent you the agenda with the linked documents?
We have it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, I'll move that we adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Cook,
Hi.
Martin,
Aye.
and Malinowski's aye. Have a good day.
Who's doing
Thank
minutes?
you.
Who's doing minutes?
I can do them.
Okay. I'll
Thank
do it
you.
next time. I'll do it